Another neat little thing that you can do with the Tesla that I don't think I've ever put on a video before is if you want to send mapped direction to your vehicle, you can do that straight from your phone. Pretty neat. So if you've Google mapped a location or a destination that you're going to go to, instead of having to get in your vehicle, get into the navigation screen and reprogram that, you can simply just within the Google Maps app, you can go down and push the share button and then just share it with the Tesla app, and whatever Tesla vehicle is active in your Tesla app, it will send that location. Then when you go to get in your vehicle, and I'll show you this. So as soon as you hop in, the vehicle starts up and you can see the location is already there. So I typed in the Peanut Festival Fairgrounds, and that's where I was just gonna go check something out here in just a minute. That's gonna be part of my FSD drive today, and all you gotta do is get in and drive, and it's already there. So yeah, it's kind of cool. All right, what's going on, everybody? Good to see y'all back. It has been a while since I've done an FSD drive. Let me get this microphone where it's not interfering with my seatbelt. I realized the last few videos I've done have been some product install stuff, and the last actual FSD update that I did was a couple ride-along videos on version 13.2.2, and while there hasn't been another major update since then, there have been several minor updates. We're up to 13.2.8 now, and a lot of those little fixes, just they'll pop in like an iPhone fix for security issues or whatever, the ones that you can't really see a lot of major changes on the surface, but they will go in from time to time and do just small bug fixes, little individual things that they've seen in the code or whatever that they need to fix. So those will come out still, every couple weeks probably. One of those comes out. But I did want to give another update drive because I see it every day. Day to day, my work commute, every single day I use it almost exclusively, as well as any other around the town driving that I do. So I know it can be kind of difficult sometimes for me to see from day to day what the changes are, but I like to keep a video up at least every few weeks of the different FSD changes, so that I have a record of the changes and how it's progressing. So I'd put on Facebook yesterday and X, just kind of posed the question of what do people want to see? What are some videos that might be interesting, entertaining? What do people want to see? And one of the consensuses was that people wanted to see basically a race, a 0 to 60 run or a quarter-mile run or something between the Cybertruck and a combustion vehicle. Most people have seen some version of that online, and I would like to do it. The problem that I've had is to try to find the right venue for it, because number one, I don't want to do it somewhere where it's going to be dangerous. Doing something like that on a public street is, number one, not legal, but number two, there's plenty of risks involved trying to do something like that on a public road. But also, I'd like to get some good footage of it, and other than in the vehicle footage, it's hard to get anything besides that on the road. And I'd like to be able to get the drone out and have like an aerial shot or a moving drone shot or something to make it worth watching, to make it entertaining, and to get the most information out of it as possible, to get some better views than just from the cabin. So one suggestion somebody had, we've got a fairgrounds that's got a really large parking lot and some really straight roads going through that parking lot, and with it not being fair time, that may be a good option. I've reached out to a couple of my friends that are connected with that venue, but I've not heard back from them yet. So what I was doing right now, I wanted to get an FSD drive in to just give everybody an update on how it's doing with 13.2.8. And while I'm doing that, I navigated to the Peanut Festival, so that I can just check it out, to see if it's vacant right now. I know they've got a gate. I'm not going to try to go all the way in, but that would just give me an idea if there's anything going on with the city right now, because they do hold other events and things there that may make it not possible to do that today. I had somebody that was a large chicken on a trailer that just went by. That's kind of funny. I had a friend of mine today that's in town that said that he would race me in his Sequoia, which would not be a very challenging race, and he acknowledged that, because Sequoia is a very large SUV that's not really known for its speed, but it would be something, and he agreed to do that if we were able to find somewhere. So I was going to check that out. Still a remote possibility today, but not super likely since I haven't heard back yet, and not sure how our schedules will work out with that. But anyway, that's the background of why we're navigating to the Peanut Festival. It's just somewhere that's not too far away. It's probably a 10-12 minute drive, but it still gets us out on one of the main-ish roads in our city. Goes through several intersections, red lights, and with it being a Saturday afternoon, there's a fair amount of drivers out on the road. So like I was saying, with 13.2.8, it is 3 or 4 minor versions ahead of where we were last time. I did a video. I think it was the drive with Peter, maybe was the last one. It's been a while back. There haven't been any major changes enough to point out a different feature or anything like that. They've not added the backup park and revert, or backup park and unpark. That feature has not been added yet, which the Model Y already has. And it also does not have Smart Summon yet, which is the come get me in the parking lot feature. Really looking forward to that one coming in. I hope it's soon, and I'll definitely post some videos of that. That's still a fun one to do with the Model Y, and it actually has some useful features, useful functions with that as well. But it's also just kind of fun to play with. Let's see. I'm still using FSD every day, going to and from work. Since it does not have the park unpark feature yet, I do still have to pull out of my driveway and at least get on the road. I don't have to go far. I just basically back out onto the road, and then I can enable it just like I did today. And then it takes me essentially to the main gate at work, where the address is pinned on Google Maps for that address for work. Which is really what any navigation system is going to do. It's not going to take you on into a facility and find a spot. It's going to take you to where the address says that facility is and tell you you've reached your destination. So ultimately, when the kind of the final destination parking feature is added, the goal there is that it will get you to your destination, and then it will take that next step, go into the parking lot, find you a vacant spot, and park. And I assume for something like a workplace or somewhere that's got a lot of different options of where to park, hopefully there'll be options where you can tell your preferences of, hey, when I get to this place, I'd rather park in this area, and then let it go to that area, depending on what building you're in or whatnot. And then it's ultimately supposed to be able to actually pull into your garage, because the main ultimate goal is full autonomy. So if your vehicle is going to be fully autonomous, it's going to have to basically start from your garage or from your parking place, and then take you to another garage or another parking place, and do all of that without any type of intervention. So it's not there yet. Even with the Model Y with the park and reverse on it, It's closer, but it's not 100% there yet. So I don't want to give any false impressions that it's 100% ready for prime time, no driver type control, but it is very, very close. And like I've said before, recently, I very rarely drive anymore. I mean, it will do, I would say easily 99%, probably more than that. It still will very, very rarely have an issue with the actual driving, whether that's just getting stuck in a yield lane or something where it wants to stop and then it needs your help to urge it on to go. That's on very rare occasion it'll get hung up like that. Again, it's not a safety critical thing. It's not a problem, other than if there's somebody behind you, they may get aggravated with you. But as far as doing the driving tasks, all of your basic driving functions, it is very, very good. And I would say at least 99% that I don't have to do anything. And the biggest change lately, and I've talked about this in a previous video, is the driver profiles. So instead of just having a set offset from the speed limit that you give it under your preferences, the driver profiles that they've got in there now that will actually allow it to go a much higher percentage over, because sometimes if it gets on a small road where it doesn't recognize a speed limit yet, where it hasn't seen a sign yet, it would tend to want to go much slower than what a person would go, probably 25, 27, which was not very functional. I would have to bump the speed up on regular occasion. But now that the driver profiles are in there, it knows that even on a county road, it knows the speed limit's not 25. It knows that you need to be going at least 40, 45 or so. And so, not to interrupt myself, but we're here. So as you can see, I was chit-chatting and watching it, supervising it. Now turn left. But I did not do anything since I left the house. And it's pulled me into the Peanut Festival area. Now it's actually pulling into the parking lot, and I'm curious. I'm just going to let it, I'm going to let it drive over here and see if it just pulls over somewhere, or it's actually pulling into a spot right now. So there you go. So it actually pulled into the parking lot. I didn't tell it where to go once we were here, and you can see, I don't know if you can see on that screen, if I zoom it in enough, it navigated me to basically the front of the main building. But then in addition to that, it came over here and just parked in a normal spot, which is pretty neat. But what I was saying before is, it's not 100% perfect, but it is so close. You can see from this drive, this was a short drive. We've been in the truck maybe 10, 12, 15 minutes. And I literally didn't do anything but watch it. I just watched and made sure. I mean, kind of like you're in driver's ed with somebody and you're watching a driver do their thing, and you are having to pay attention because that new driver may not know what to do, may make a mistake or whatever, and you're there to help it. But that's essentially it. And it's in some ways way better than a new or even experienced driver, in that it always sees it everywhere. So it's looking in all directions, and not only just seeing things, but also making assessments with every movable object in the area that it can see, which is essentially everywhere. It allows it to make decisions very fast, much faster than a human driver can make. And also, most accidents are due to either distracted driving, or some other impairment to the driver, whether they're under the influence of something or just under the influence of their phone, which is the biggest distraction, or even sometimes it's even less negligent than that. It may be that you need to reach back and grab something that just fell off your console, or you dropped your phone on the floor and you reach for it, and something can happen so quick. When you're at highway speeds, you look down for 1 to 2 seconds and you've moved a few hundred feet. And, there was an incident that could have happened a couple weeks ago. I made a short with it where we were on the interstate, and a car 2 or 3 cars up from me that I couldn't even see slammed on their brakes. I don't know if they got cut off or what, but they slowed way down on the highway, on the interstate, and the car in front of me saw it late, dodged in time, but then that cuts my reaction time down even a lot more, because by the time I saw them swerve out of the way, now I'm approaching a car that's going even slower than they were all of a sudden, that I couldn't even see before. And FSD was engaged, and I was watching. I saw the whole thing unfold, and because it reacted so fast, it was every bit as fast or faster than I could have reacted. So I watched it do its thing, and it slowed down appropriately. It put on a blinker and immediately started getting over to avoid that slow car that was suddenly in front of us. Anyway, I'm going to take this back out of FSD. The whole reason I wanted to come over here was really to just kind of scope out and see if anything was going on, and it's not. It looks like it's completely vacant out here, but there's just a monstrous parking lot right there, as well as this entry road. Now I'd have to get through this gate. Like I said, I would coordinate with my friend of mine that helps run this place out here, but I think this entrance road past this gate is a perfect spot, or even side to side in that parking lot, as long as we were in an open lane where there wasn't any of the light poles, but they're pretty spread out. I think this is actually a really good spot to do this. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to navigate back home, and all I have to do there is just your home's programmed in, just swipe down, and it actually, since I'm not at home, it tried to take me to work. So you can just tap your home button there, and then I will put it back in FSD. So you can see the little steering wheel turns blue. It's just a quick at a glance way to see that it's back in there. Now see, we're crossing a 4-lane divided highway right now. I just so happened to pull up when it was a nice break in traffic, so it didn't even really have to wait for anybody, but it will use that center median if it needs to. So if you pull out and there is traffic from the left, it will go ahead and pull across to the median as long as there's a break there that's got enough room for you to wait. And then it will either continue on smoothly like it did just now because it was free in both directions, or it will pull across to the middle just like a human would, and it'll wait for that right to left traffic to clear, and then it will make its left. There's another really good channel if you're interested in the FSD drive stuff and progress that's being made. There's another channel that I'll put a plug in for. His name is Chuck Cook, and he lives down in Florida, and there's a left turn it's been coined Chuck's left turn, and there's a little slingshot here in front of us. I don't know if he'll try to go or not, but sometimes people like to try that when we're on the front too on the green light. Anyway, if you check out Chuck Cook's channel, he's got this famous left turn near his house that it's an unprotected left, meaning there's no light or anything for cross traffic to be slowed down by, and it's just a good training spot for full self-driving because it's a tricky turn. There's multiple lanes. It's very obstructed with some trees right up to the corner. And the actual Tesla ADAS drivers that work for Tesla that help do the real world testing out in the public streets with the latest versions before they're rolled out to the public, they always go to that turn because it is such a tricky turn, and it's a lot of traffic, and it almost always has to cut through the first part, wait in the middle, and then wait for the second part because it's really busy, There's no light there to protect you from side traffic. And it really has to stick its nose out, just like a person would really need to inch up and look so that it can see whether it's clear or not. But yeah, check out Chuck Cook on YouTube if you're interested in some of that stuff. He's got a lot of good equipment too, so he'll fly his drone up over the corner of that intersection so you can really see from different angles what the car's having to deal with, what the traffic looks like, the kind of gaps that it's waiting for, and all those things. So definitely check him out if you're interested in this type stuff, because he's got some really good stuff in there. Trying to think if there's anything else. I don't want to bore people with just the ride back home, unless there's something else I can think of. But I think what I was saying when we pulled into the Peanut Festival parking lot was that even though it's not 100% solved, and there's still a fraction of a percent of a time that it needs the driver's assistance to either urge it on or whatever. It really is 99% plus there. A few more updates and some edge case fixes and things like that. I think it's going to be really good, really fast. And actually, so that it's taken a different route home, which is interesting. I'm curious to see. I've actually never been down this road before, so let's just see what it does. It will change its path based on traffic and any road closures or anything like that. So instead of going all the way back to the main highway that we came in on, it's cutting through on this road. So I am going to leave the cameras rolling because I'm curious about this, and this is one of the fun things about letting FSD drive, even in your own town, is sometimes it'll take you somewhere that you've never been before and expand your your knowledge of your local roads. So this is kind of fun. So I don't know what kind of peripheral vision you can see from the center camera. I've got it on wide view, but it's not wide enough to see the sides. So after this white SUV, it may go. No, it's waiting on this black van. So I may have to give it a little bit of a nudge there. So yeah, so I gave it just a tiny nudge on the accelerator to push it through there. And that's what I was talking about, that just occasionally it'll get somewhere, which is that's very similar to a yield area where it's not a stop sign, but it's kind of waiting on traffic, but there's nothing like a green light that's just saying, hey, go. So I just gave it a little bit of a nudge on the accelerator and it pushed it on. But I'm curious, I guess there's a roundabout right over here that just basically takes it the back way.
Enter the roundabout and take the first exit.
Actually, you might hit two different roundabouts. So
now enter the roundabout and take the first exit.
And it usually handles them just fine, which this is our town's it's like one of our 2 or 3 little small roundabouts. So first exit, nailed it. And then we've got another roundabout back to back right here. See how we're doing on battery? We're still good on battery.
Now enter the roundabout and take the second exit.
So now we're looking at second exit. So it was going to yield there to that car. That car took its first exit, and so it continued on once it saw him turning. This is going around to our second exit, which is correct. And I think I have been on this road. I didn't recognize it from that side because I always just, I've been on here. That's James Oates Park. I know where we are now. I normally just go back to the main, what we call the circle here in Dothan. For anybody that's local, you know what I'm talking about. It's just the major highway that goes around the outside of our city area. But this is going to pop out. It's just taking the back roads to cut off that corner from the circle down to the festival fairgrounds, and it will end up popping back out over on 52 probably. We'll see. That's the benefit of letting FSD drive, is I don't really have to know where we are, because it does. Oh, we're about to hit a third roundabout, so we're going to hit, I think, all three. Well, we've got four. There is one over north of my house.
Now enter the roundabout and take the
But
first exit.
we're going to hit at least 3 of the 4 or 5 roundabouts that's in our city all at once. Yeah, and so then this is going to take us down just a block or 2, and then left on Honeysuckle, which is the road just before my road. And it's funny, my wife laughs all the time because I'm very directionally challenged. Even right now, like knowing where I wasn't sure right there if we needed to go this way or take the second roundabout exit. But like I said, it's not a problem because it knew, even if I didn't know immediately which one to take. So here's Honeysuckle right here. So it's going to make this left. Kind of a weird 4-way stop where you've got the roads come in at weird angles. It's not a regular 4-way. And we got it's like our power company, or kind of our utilities training area over here to the left. Got a bunch of power poles set up in a field for it looks like lineman practice. Excuse me. Got about 2 more lights coming up. One will cross Highway 52, and then just a couple blocks from there, we'll turn onto the road where my neighborhood is. But for just the occasional nudge of the accelerator pedal, for that amount of involvement that's needed, it is more than worth it to me to both have access to the FSD software and to use it for essentially all my drives. I mean, don't get me wrong, this vehicle and all Teslas are extremely fun to drive if you just want to just drive. They're still fun to drive, very enjoyable. They're responsive, they're smooth, they're quiet, more than ample power. But there's also something just very nice about being able to just sit back, relax, watch it go, and just hang out, supervise, and watch it. The thing you got to really be careful with is, because it does only mess up so very, very rarely, you really have to make yourself not get too comfortable with it, because otherwise, I really do trust it a lot based on hours and hours and hours and hours of using it. I've used it in about every normal driving situation that I have. I mean, every drive that I've made in the last year and a half has been using it, almost. And to see how it reacts to everything is just,
In 500 feet.
it makes you really, really comfortable with it. I know a lot of people that talk about it too that either don't know about it or that have never used it. One of their things is that they just don't know if they could trust it. Let's see, this is telling me it wants to turn, but it's not in the turn lane, which is weird. So, stuff like that. Like, not a safety thing. It just, hey, it's like it knows it needs to turn left, but it was in the straight lane, which is kind of weird. Little glitchy things like that occasionally happen. But again, it's not enough of a hindrance or an inconvenience, and certainly not anything that makes me nervous about it. It's just kind of like going back to the driver's ed example. It's more like just kind of telling that person that's driving, hey, you need to do this, or hey, you can go ahead and go. But here we are back in the neighborhood, and that's essentially it. So I hope that update was informative. Maybe if somebody is just seeing this for the first time, you want to check out some of the other videos that are out there. Most of my channel is highlighting what the technology that Tesla has out there right now is capable of, which is pretty mind-blowing. And then there's some other just kind of fun stuff. I've put a little bit of space content on here, being not really near a place that does launches all the time. I've not been able to put as much space stuff on there. My channel is the Tesla Space Nerd, and part of that's because I absolutely love space and rocket stuff and everything related to it, but don't have as much opportunity to get that kind of content out there as I would like to. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and subscribe if you haven't already. That'll help the channel get to more people. And thanks a lot. We'll see you guys later.